me, it's more about the journey and the experience of doing these things, as opposed to, race results, which I think is really important for people to kind of remember why they do these things. It's more for the experience as opposed to just racing, because otherwise these events would be quite boring if everyone is just focused on becoming top 10 or whatever it is.
Go on then.
So moving, I guess, gotta do that again, sorry I completely forgot the question. All right.
Yeah, go for it. How did the idea of exploring further afield first come to you?
I kind of got into exploring routes further afield, mainly through just seeing other people do it, do routes that are just kind of crazy, and then also wanting to challenge myself to explore new regions and new cultures. So being able to bike pack and do some ultra cycling stuff allows me to do these things whilst I have limited time through work, obviously, but in a really condensed version, essentially. Yeah. I'm Seun. I'm an ultra cyclist and bike packer as well. I started cycling maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Just got really bored of cycling around London, mainly because it's just always the same routes and it's not exactly like being in areas like this. Got into adventure cycling mainly just because I wanted to keep pushing myself and challenging myself to do new things. There was definitely a moment that I can remember that made me excited about doing this kind of stuff was when I did my first bikepacking trip. It opened a whole new world of trying different, difficult kind of routes. Managing diabetes whilst doing ultra cycling can be quite difficult, but at the same time, it's not something that I'm too afraid of, I guess. I prioritise obviously safety, but also trying to be as consistent as possible. So that's whether it's managing my blood sugar levels through eating food regularly or just trying to get as much sleep as possible. It's a lot to manage during a race, on top of obviously everything else that you have to deal with. So yeah, I don't really see it as a barrier, and if anyone does obviously say I can't do these things, I just kind of ignore them and just go ahead and do it within reason. The Atlas Mountain Race is around 1,400 kilometres this year. I think this is the longest version of it so far. I think it's about 25,000 metres of climbing, so it's going to be a bit punchy, especially on mountain bikes. In terms of preparation, I've been working with a coach for about 4 or 5 months, just to kind of get me physically ready, and then also just giving me advice on how to essentially not die out here. Yeah, and then I guess it's been difficult to prepare yourself whilst doing winter training, mainly because the UK is obviously notoriously wet, but now it's really wet out here, I should be fine, fingers crossed.
This is not the whole amount of diabetes equipment that I am going to take, but I'm just going to take a small amount. So these are my glucose monitors, so they usually go on my skin like there. And then they monitor my blood sugar levels, and then this is the cannula set basically that is used for my insulin, and then that is the actual insulin that keeps me basically alive doing these things.
Through experience, it's something that I've learned in terms of managing myself. So yeah, definitely managing it through consistency and just being a bit cautious, but also allowing myself to learn from these things. So having a fueling strategy that is pretty simple to understand, even just down to how many grams of carbs I'm having per hour or so, it's pretty useful, mainly just so I can focus on the racing side of it. Just training for several months beforehand just to make sure I'm kind of comfortable with doing that. Just allow me to just focus on getting through the race for the most part and enjoying it. There's been a lot of thoughts, I think, in the last week or so in terms of heading into unknown, especially with this kind of race. Mainly just seeing if I can get through the first night. I've done a few races that started at night time before now, and they are always difficult for anyone that starts these things. So I think that's one of the first things I have to just get over with once we've started. Perseverance to me is quite a corny thing, I guess, but it's like pushing yourself through situations that you often are not kind of situated in. So I think in normal day in life, we are always like just very comfortable in our situation. And for me, that's always like my 9 to 5, just like, you know, commuting to work, wherever it is. And I always enjoy like the thrill of being in somewhere that I'm not really familiar with.
So I think there's a bit of a misconception in the ultra scene about a lot of receiving of pain. That's what a lot of the images that people see in the kind of scene. But for me personally, I think it's more about experiencing new different cultures and also just challenging myself within reason. That's what I kind of do it for, rather than just trying to get like a lot of pain. Basically, it's not really worth it.